We left off last time talking about habituation, and one of the explanations of habituation, especially of emotional responses or affective responses, is an interesting theory proposed by Solomon Corbett in the mid-70s called opponent process theory. So we know that habituation is when we repeatedly stimulate, say, a reflex, it reduces the response. So then the example in the book, they talk about a guy near a gun range, a firing range, and the first time he hears a shot, he might have an enormous startle. I mean, he might be like shocked out of his chair from the sound of the gun. And it turns out the next shot elicits less of a startle, and the third shot even less, and the fourth shot even less. And you may think about this in your own world. You may, in your own life, you may have lived near or been near a freeway or highway or something and heard a truck. And the first time you heard it, it probably got you right out of bed. I mean, just shocked you awake. But then you got sort of what we would say you got used to, and that's what habituation is. Um, so, and it turns out that there are emotional phenomena that we think the opponent process theory might be partaking in. So, if you think about habituation of emotional responses, think about the phenomenon of the first kiss, or of skydiving, or rule breaking, if you will. Um, Over time and over presentations or over experiences, over the subsequent experiences of these things, the emotional response tends to get less and less pronounced, less severe, less in magnitude. People when they talk about the first kiss they've had with their lover, or their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, it's just the most intense thing ever. And then subsequent quick kisses, subsequent makeout sessions, if you will, are less emotionally provocative. Skydivers report that the rush of the first time they jump out of a plane, you never quite get there. Rule breaking, you never quite get there. So, there's this funny scene in Harry Potter.
What happens if Umbridge does find out? Who cares? I mean, it's sort of exciting, isn't it? Breaking the rules.
Who are you, and what have you done with Hermione Granger?
So I don't know if you've ever seen um, uh, uh, Harry Potter, and that was from the Order of Phoenix. Hermione is really excited to break the rules, and all the other people in the group have broken rules before. Hermione, this is the first time she's ever. It's so exciting that she's breaking the rules. So, opponent process theory is basically that these events, these affective events, these emotional responses, are actually a combination of two sort of physiological processes, if you will, at least two. And when some event produces an emotional response like joy, some event X, it produces two things we call that Solomon and Corbett called the A process and the B process. And they're opposite of one another. So the A process is happiness, the B process is anti-happiness, or the opponent process. And when X first happens, the first time that you have this joy elicited, it produces a lot of joy, and then you have sort of this downturn, though. Like after you've had a really joyful event, if you've ever felt sort of down, like, boy, we always tend to, have things like that. Like you're just, wow, that was really great, and I'm so sad now. Um, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the opponent process. So when it first happens, A produces much joy, and B comes along later and sort of dampens it, and then you're done. When X happens again for the second time, again A produces a lot of joy, but B comes online more quickly and dampens it. So habituation here, because it's coming on more quickly, looks like a learning phenomena, and that's why we sometimes think of habituation as an elementary learning process. So over time, though, what we see is that even though the event elicits much joy, the A process, the B process comes online pretty quickly, and you experience little or no joy, and then you're pretty down by that. So if you think about fear, in opponent process terms, and maybe you've experienced this. Something scares you, and the fear comes on strongly, but as time goes by, the relief takes over. Like, oh man, I'm safe from that. Wow, that really freaked me out. It happens again, um, but relief comes a bit quickly, until the point where this fear-producing event comes on, but the opponent process is right there, ready to go, and you experience relief. So, is this, some people have said, is this what's going on in horror movies? Is this how why we like to be scared? Is this opponent process notion? Do we like the relief that we experience from this as a result of opponent process? It's an interesting theory. Opponent processes, we're going to come back again when we talk about substance abuse, because we know that we have very, very strong, powerful evidence that there are opponent processes involved in substance abuse. So, as an introduction to affective or emotional behavior, opponent process theory has an interesting history.